Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 Pride Cup. We are back and we are about to have the winner's bracket final match. I'm here with TerranLord, Lord of Terrans. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm really excited for this game. It's a game that we kind of looked at as a potential final already. The top teams in each group going up and potentially, Rainbow Renegades having only dropped one map so far. It's going to be a tough order for Elven's Eccentric, Electric Eels to really take them on and see if they can take down the Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting map. Just a reminder that our map order for the winner's bracket final is going to be Nepal from map 1, Kings Row from map 2, Havana from map 3, Temple of Anubis for map 4, Lijiang Tower for map 5, and potentially Junkertown for the tiebreaker. It is, in fact, a best of 5. So, what can you tell us about some of these teams? Can you give us a bit of insight into some of their star players?
So I think when we look at these teams, if we look at Elven's Eccentric, Electric Eels first, this is a team kind of built around a lot of synergy. You've got TocsInSocks and Fluffy on that tank role, normally in support for Team Enigma, but having played together for so long, we've been on 2CP in the past, you're looking at them as kind of the go-to from the tank line, being really strong. And then Elven Slayer and Damien, two more players that on this gaming, Elven Slayer more the tank player, moved over to DPS, but still has that synergy with Damien. Kind of very difficult to compete with Dragon Wolf and Resta, more of the unknowns coming into this, but a lot of team synergy across the world, a lot of game understanding, and what we've kind of seen from them is the fact that there's, a lot of this team play, both built around these ultimates, the synergy behind focusing on any hacks that the Sombra player gets, the bubbles from the Zarya to the Reinhardt, those kind of things. And I think that's where their strength is going to come into versus some more of what chaotic coming out of Rainbow Renegades, where we see them more play towards these 1v1s, take on these random flank angles, and we can take a look at them real quick. Yeah, and so a little bit of a change up from what we have seen of them. Was Zol coming in on the tank role, replacing Kubrian as someone who we've seen a little bit of during RMG on Team Inferno, but in that role as a support. So something that is going to be a bit different for him, and seeing how he kind of fits into this team where he hasn't had an experience playing with them, but putting alongside Kubik, who's been a standout player throughout this entire tournament, through many years of South African Overwatch, coming as an international player, peaking GM multiple seasons on multiple roles. Definitely a player that you're going to be looking to as your focal point of a lot of these kind of chaotic engages. And then on top of that, Neek's coming in, first time we're seeing him since that first game, back early morning yesterday, did really well on that Pharah, and has a bit of a role to for what we saw from Selfless when he subbed in on that Tracer, but definitely someone who in their own right is very scary. Joestar on that Sombra, basically making Kwacha mold at the end of the day of yesterday, with the support line of Bubbles and Wallace. Bubbles, a few questionable flanks and a couple chances that just to get back to the team. We're still not sure how they go, but Wallace, another one of those very chaotic players looking to get into your backline. And I can say for Elven's Eccentric, Electric, Eels, you're going to be looking at your backline going to be being under a lot of threat from a lot of these players.
Yeah, so basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, we've got the team Elven's Eccentric, Electric, Eels looking for some very combo-oriented play with a lot of synergy, and then we've got some chaotic pick-taking, play to break up Quad E from Rainbow Renegades. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly that, and it's very much a clash of styles. So interesting to see how that develops. And when we saw that kind of yesterday, from Rainbow Renegades playing against PUGs-esque, which is a similar-ish team in terms of their play style to Elven's Eccentric, Electric, Eels, they fell very hard. It was a very easy 3-0 for Rainbow Renegades, but Elven's Eccentric, Electric, Eels looking stronger in that matchup, having already beaten PUGs-esque, should fare better.
100%. We are going here into the first match on Nepal. Who are you going to back for this map, Terran?
I think I gotta give Quad E a favor in this, even though it's a control map which inherently favors a lot more of your chaotic play styles, especially in Nepal as well when you look at Sanctum. But I feel this is a map that really Quad E can take advantage of. Picks like that Symmetra, play around it, maybe even that Sombra as well. But so far we actually aren't even seeing that Symmetra come out to play. Is going to be the potential double hit scan, which is versus that Pharah could look really strong.
Yeah, we've got that double hit scan coming out from the side of Quad E. Rainbow Renegades are with the Pharah and the Sombra. The Sombra is going to be really oppressive, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. And that Sombra with those hacks onto those tanks makes it very difficult for them to engage. Winston without a bubble, without his jump, a D.Va without defense matrix makes it incredibly difficult to engage.
All right, here we come. Running out of spawn. We've got Quad E making their way to the point. We got that Pharah from Rainbow Renegades popping some damage up over the top there. Just getting a few cheeky shots. They're coming in over the high ground here. Fluffy dives in. Just warding off that area, blocking them off. Oh, and we've got a pause.
It's not South African Overwatch if we don't get a pause.
Yeah, tell me about it. But yeah, so we are seeing a bit of a unfortunate timing here in this pause, just at the start of the engagement as Quad E dives in. Fluffy taking up the front, Tocs running right behind him. That Pharah is making it difficult for the backline. But yeah, how do you see this engagement playing out here?
So far, I think with the space that Quad E have taken, it's really nice. You're kind of forcing them to choke. They do need to be very careful, though, with the wrecking ball in the backline. You're potentially coming in, pushing those tanks even a bit further where they don't want to. Outside of on the sidelines could make it very difficult. On the already being very low means that she's not going to be able to peek too much. She needs to get healed up by that Mercy before anything can really happen. But a decent position to start off with for Quad E, having that double hit scanning position to potentially take care of that pharmacy.
Yeah, that pharmacy is a lurking threat that they're going to want to be careful of. But yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on. We do have the pause requested from Rainbow Renegades, and we're currently waiting to figure out exactly what's happening. It looks like we're about to get back into it, though, and we're going to drop right into the action as the game resumes. A bit of an awkward moment.
It seems like there's a delay in the responses as well. Ping sometimes happen. Yeah, we are ready to do it.
All right, let's get back into it. All right, we have Quad E getting in the face there of the enemy team. Unfortunately, Fluffy does go down, so Quad E are going to beat a hasty retreat here. Alex is getting in there, trying to be disruptive, manages to get out with the shield on the Wrecking Ball. Dragon Wolf goes down for Quad E. They're down now, a healer and a main tank. It looks like, Rainbow Renegades are going to manage to just push them off the point and get the first take. They only lost their Sombra there, which is a pretty fair trade considering they managed to wipe quite a few of Quad E off the map.
And what we saw is, like, as I mentioned before, is the potential of those tanks going over the sidelines on the Fluffy getting booped in meant he just couldn't get healed up in time. He went down, and from there, the engagement from Quad E just kind of fell apart. It allowed a lot of space for that pharmacy, and even though the Sombra dies, the Wrecking Ball doesn't go down either, and it just means that they have that perfect engage back on top.
Yeah, and we see a lot of poke damage coming in here from the Pharah over the top. Oh, and she pops the ult. The barrage is coming in. Tocs manages to get her away. She only gets away with getting the Ashe, and she gets immediately traded out by the McCree. Mercy gets the res of the Ashe is back up. Quad E are now looking good to come in and push and take the point back. But it looks like Rainbow Renegades are not going to get the retake. They're backing off. With that Zarya on the front, just walking back, trying to charge up a barrier, stay alive, build up that ult.
And we saw a bit of like an anti-synergy time, even though it was the nano barrage. Nothing really there to follow up on that barrage meant that Neeks on this far got picked off pretty easily, even though having that less damage taken from the nano boost, especially against this double hit scan setup and a diva in your face, made sure that it was a pretty easy retake for Quad E.
Yeah, we've got a lot of ults coming up on the side of Quad E as well. We're looking at 5 ults ready to roll. They are going to try and hold the point now. We see the Wrecking Ball ult come out, cancelling out the High Noon. And we've got that Pharah coming in from the side. Bob thrown out by the Ashe. Gonna hold on to the point. Can Quad E hold them? We got that Mercy trying to get in there. And here comes the Devolt. Manages to get the Zarya from Rainbow Renegades. And Rainbow Renegades, their attack is slowly falling apart here. Quad E are gonna retain control of the point. Can they get some more picks here? Just slow down that regroup. Yeah, they managed to get the Sombra, and Rainbow Renegades are gonna take a bit longer to regroup here.
Yeah, there was a big ult investment fight from Quad E. I mean, pretty much every single ultimate they had invested into that. But on the side of Rainbow Renegades, yes, you've got the EMP, maybe the grab, potentially a barrage can be a fight turner here.
Yeah, we see the Mercy ult pop here as Rainbow Renegades are pushing here from the top, but Quad E holding steady. They are maintaining a good formation. That hit scan really dealing with that Pharah. Elven absolutely annihilating I like you cut G. And it looks like Quad E are looking pretty here to take the first round. Is there anything that Rainbow Renegades can say about that?
Look like it so far. They're struggling to get through the choke point, even to get to point. I don't think anyone touches.
And yeah, round 1 goes to Quad E. Well, that was some pretty impressive play there from Quad E. What do you say, Terran?
Yeah, I think it was really good. The first fight was looking a bit rough, got a bit disrupted in the tanks, but from there, you're getting the Pharah down mid. They were afforded a lot more space. The res came out onto Elven meant they were up to 65. Bubbles went for his own res, not getting them off, put them down to 64, and from there, it's a very difficult way to climb. And bringing a Pharaoh into a double hit scan setup on that kind of map can be very difficult. So I think going forward with a continued double hit scan on maps like that, we might see Rainbow Renegades maybe opt for more of the ground base, and you're seeing the Tracer coming up. But pause once again.
Yeah, it looks like we are seeing a very disruptive composition here from the side of Rainbow Renegades with that Tracer and that Sombra. That's going to be very annoying. It does look like we have lost one member of Rainbow Renegades. They've just dropped out. They should be back with us shortly. But fortunately, this pause does come at a bit of a better time than the last one. Not right as the fight is about to start. We are seeing that Quad E is really enjoying those dive tanks. Do you have any observations on that?
I think it's more towards that they've identified a possible weakness in the way that Rainbow Renegades play with this chaos. What Dive really excels in picking off those targets that are kind of left alone. And because of the way Rainbow Renegades play a lot of the time, they are playing very separate, very split from each other. And we saw that even when that Nano Barrage came out, you had basically the Pharaoh Mercy alone. Your Pal Drive maybe came in, but the Zarya was kind of sitting back. So that's probably something that they've identified. They try and put pressure on these split players. Make it their lives very difficult. For Bubbles on the Zenyatta, Zen notoriously easy to dive, and while it's not necessarily your support player who's going to look after the other support, looks for that backline. So maybe saying that if our backline dies, it doesn't really matter if theirs does, because then we still have that kind of strength in our tanks and our overall DPS that we can win out that fight. And so far, it's been working.
Yeah, and the mobility as well, definitely serving Quad E very well on that last round. They were able to jump from choke to choke really quickly and just respond to Rainbow Renegades threats very effectively. What do you think Rainbow Renegades have to pull out here to try and get some space for themselves and get back into the game?
I think that this Roadhog pick already is a step in the right direction. I think even though as much disruption as Cubic was doing on that Wrecking Ball, he was struggling really to synergize any value with his team. So this Roadhog kind of makes it a bit harder for the enemy team, like heroes like that Winston, like that Diva, to really get in the face of those supports. Just the potential damage from one left click from Roadhog up close can almost one-shot the Winston. So make it a bit harder for them to dive you is a very good choice, especially since you do have that Discord Orb. Makes it increase the amount of damage. The Tracer, if they are going to leave their backline open, it means that the Ana might be a bit open. Yes, there is that Mercy to cover her for her, but it's not something like a Brigitte who has that shield bash, has a whip shot, has the sustained healing after dealing damage, has an armor pack just to keep that Ana alive. And Mercy doesn't always want to be just solo healing an Ana.
Yeah, 100%. You don't want to have both your healers in the back while your tanks are diving in the front, taking all that damage. We're still waiting for Rainbow Renegades to regain one of their lost players. We think that they are just about in, and we are going back into the game.
2, 1.
Joe, so I think we're probably going to see that Sombra pick is a bit delayed on it. But we're also going to see a Diva swap. Okay, they're still going to stick to that Wrecking Ball.
All right. Joestar is still not picked yet. Not quite in, but it looks like we're going on anyway. We do have both teams squaring up here. Fluffy looking to see if he can pick off anyone with a dive. Wrecking Ball comes out the side. Fluffy immediately jumps on it, just tries to zone out the enemy team, hold them in that choke, and keep them away from their backline. He pops down the barrier, just soaking up some damage there. And we are now looking at Elven, just gonna pop some damage in there on the Wrecking Ball. We got some good damage on the Diva with the good anti-nade. Diva does lose her mech on the side of Rainbow Renegades. Tocs also losing his on the side of Quad E. And we have lost 2 members of Quad E. The healer, a tank, 2 DPS. Oh, Quad E are just getting annihilated. And even though Rainbow Renegades were on the back foot there, they managed to take the point.
Yeah, and even without Joestar's involvement, then we saw he very late picked that fight just happening kind of without him, but Rainbow Renegades really able to stuff Quad E into the small little choke point where the Wrecking Ball gains so much value. Bubbles basically left alone to put pressure on, but we are going to see a change up in comp from Quad E.
Yeah, and we see Alakikachi on that Tracer just sneak around the back looking for some picks. Doesn't manage to get in the back there, get some damage in, but she's being zoned out. Yes, from Alex, Cubic on that Wrecking Ball, just causing chaos in the back line here. Can he get some knocks? He does manage to pick off the Sombra, but it looks like Quadi are just getting set for the retake here. And they are going to grab the point back, and that's pretty much similar to what we saw in the first round as well.
And a really good adaptation coming out from Quadi, switching on to this rush-style dive comp with the Sombra Reaper, being able to really punish that Wrecking Ball, not allow him as much space, and essentially letting them just run at that Zenyatta, who felt under pressure and died initially in that fight.
Yeah, and we see Quadi being really aggressive here. They're pushing forward, trying to hold Rainbow Renegades in their spawn. They are going to lose a few resources here. We've got Fluffy down, Damien down, Dragonwolf also down, so Quadi are down to 3 players and they are losing fast. It looks like the aggressive play did not work out in their favor, and Rainbow Renegade's going to retake the point here.
The big pulse bomb coming out there from getting a 2 picks straight away meant that all that aggression, all those resources invested into that fight were for naught. And it's not the worst thing, they did delay it a little bit because their fight was so far, and they do have ultimates coming online.
Yeah, we do see some strong defensive ultimates on the side of Rainbow Renegades. They're also going to attempt to hold Quadi in the choke here. We can see Fluffy trying to go for that Tracer. Tocs starts the ult. He manages to get nothing, unfortunately. Droestar struggling in the back, getting dived on by that Winston, and Winston's trying really hard to zone out the DPS. Bubbles does pop the Transcendence to try and keep his team in the fight, but they are managing to push Quadi out. Alex, Cubic, got that ult ready on the side of Wrecking Ball. Is he going to pop it to try and zone some space or some breathing room? Quadi being really, really aggressive here, trying to find a gap. Sombra out with the EMP, Droestar managing to get quite a few of that. We see a bomb coming up from Zol just to zone off the enemy team. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get the retake here, but we have got one on point. And oh, that's a massive EMP from Damien. Manages to, unfortunately, not quite stop the defensive beat drop from Wallace there. And in the final stretches of overtime, we've got the Reaper on point. Is he going to be able to pop that ult and just secure the point? They just need to hold it a little bit longer. But it looks like Quadi have managed to get the retake, and they've still got ults on their side. Rainbow Renegade, not so much.
Yeah, it's very elongated fight, big ult investment from Renegades, and bomb coming out from Tocs already. They just want to keep this aggression going.
Yeah, they're getting some good picks here, just further delaying the regroup on Rainbow Renegade's side. They are falling a bit back now, trying not to overextend into the enemy spawn. But we see Elven here, waiting in the corner by the choke. He's going to be looking for a big ult. He's still got that Death Blossom coming up. They've still got the Beat Drop and the Diva Bomb. Fluffy nearly with the Primal Rage as well. We've got Elven here, just waiting. And looks like Quadi are going in. They managed to get the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer out. The Zen all by himself there. There's just no saving him there. And yeah, Quadi are really starting to establish some dominance here. I think they're getting into the swing of it. This is pretty much what they wanted to do in the first take, but they're managing very well now. Rainbow Renegade's going to have to push really hard. Only 10% left.
And it's looking quite dominant so far. Tocs does get Demic, but the beat should be enough to sustain them, and getting that Bubbles pick means that they're in advantage in this fight.
Oh! Unfortunately, Elven falling off the edge, getting booped by Wallace. He's not going to be able to use that Death Blossom, so it's possible here that Rainbow Renegades can retake. We've got Moira out, and an EMP interrupting the Moira ult on Quadi. Rainbow Renegades actually looking good here for a retake. They're going to get the point, and I don't think that Quadi are going to be able to touch. And yeah, the score is 1-1.
And that's just really, really good play from Wallace, neutralizing the most important ult on the side of Quad E there. Like, that Death Blossom can spell an end so quickly. There's not really that much you can counter. You kind of have the defense measures, but that only lasts so long. So being able to neutralize that ult completely really just ended up winning that fight. The EMP then comes out, make sure that the Coalescence doesn't do enough damage. But also we did get to see Tocs getting that Remac kill on the enemy Tracer, something which we've been kind of accustomed to throughout this Pride Cup.
Yeah, so some really clutch plays there by Wallace, really showing why he's so good at that Lucio. We're seeing both teams here leaving the spawn. We've got Quaddy using pretty similar team comp here with the dive tanks, with the Tracer to get in the back, cause a bit of problems. And we've got the Echo here on Rainbow Road. Oh, Bubbles goes down, gets picked off real fast by Elven Slayer on that Ashe. We've got Cubic in the back with the Wrecking Ball, trying to just make some space, be disruptive for his team. But unfortunately, it looks like Rainbow Renegades are going to have to pull back here. They do lose their main tank. Zol trying to get in, just disrupt, but he loses his mech. And the Echo is popping off here, getting some clutch kills, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Yeah, and we've got a point take here on the side of Quaddy, but they did just lose Tox on that D.Va. And Rainbow Renegades trying to just keep them some consistent pressure here. But they're getting some picks on the side of Quaddy, so yeah, they're going to be able to retake real fast.
There's something very interesting, like the Echo, not something a lot of teams have run so far this tournament. Quite a surprising that we haven't seen it with how prevalent Echo's been in the meta recently. Maybe all the teams agreeing that let's not run this Echo, which is just so prevalent, like so meta-driven. Let's play a bit more fair. But you know, getting to the upper end of this tournament, you kind of want to play the best heroes possible.
Now we see Quaddy coming up here on the high ground, but immediately the Echo copies the D.Va. She's going to try and build up that ult real quick so she can replicate it and just get some space. She pops in the ult in the small space, forcing Quaddy out of the space, managing to just disperse them a little bit, but she's getting some picks now on the D.Va. Fluffy managing to get on the back line. Elven getting a huge kill on that Echo, allowing the Quaddy to get some pressure relieved off of them and get on the point. Wallace managing to stall here, and we've got the ult coming out of Cubic. They're trying desperately. Oh, that's a huge EMP. But unfortunately, Ravester was in the back, manages to pop that rally, which is going to make it really easy for Quad E to just hold on to this point. At this point, Rainbow Renegades just trickling in. Wallace with a late beat drop there. Not really getting much value out of that, but they are throwing the bomb in. They're throwing ults, just trying to commit to this point. Rainbow Renegades a bit split all over the place at this point.
This is like the chaos is really starting to come through from Rainbow Renegades. We're seeing, I mean, the beat drop at a very weird time. You're kind of like in a 3v5 situation, but they're still getting this fight going.
Yeah, we see the ult come out from Zol, does manage to pick out one of the supports, the Brigitte. That's going to be a problem because that Moira is now all by herself. Fluffy is popping Primal Rage on the point, trying to just disrupt the enemy team, keep them off. But that Echo is doing work, and they are going to push forward and try and get some more picks here after claiming the point. Yeah, they've got some more picks, so Quaddy are going to have to regroup here, and Bubbles getting the res on the Echo.
A couple of composition stops now. We see Damien back on the Sombra, Fluffy moving over to that Roadhog, and Elven on the Soldier. They're probably looking, you know, to try and punish this Wrecking Ball as much as possible. You've got the hack, you've got the hook, you've got consistent damage from the Soldier. You also got the shield bash from Brigitte, so a lot of punish on this Wrecking Ball, but they need to be careful. Facing two rest the Wrecking Ball.
The Echo is in the back line here. She manages to pull the ult off the Moira and just fade away from a potentially dangerous situation. But unfortunately, Bubbles was in deep there trying to get her out, and she just ended up getting taken down. But the heals coming in from the Echo from the Moira Coalescence are vital. It looks like Quad E are going to pop that rally. They're trying to hold on and get Rainbow Renegades off this point, but Rainbow Renegades just getting the picks exactly where they need them. Elven Slayer on that Soldier, trying to get that Echo out of the sky. That Echo is just so oppressive and difficult for them to deal with. Elven unfortunately goes down, Tox out of the mech, goes down. Dragon Wolf on the point here, trying to stall, get time. We've got Fluffy switching over here to the Wrecking Ball, trying to do the same thing, but the EMP comes out. Fluffy's not going to be able to dance around the point. Damien, unfortunately, not going to be able to hide, and the beat comes out to secure the point, and map 1 Nepal goes to Rainbow Renegades.
As that series gone, it felt like, especially on that third map, Rainbow Renegades really started to get a bit of control of the chaos. Even though they were losing fights, they were losing them very, very slowly. You know, we saw Wallace stalling our point for so long. Then once Wallace had kind of got off point, then Cubic comes in.
Massive group.
Yeah, there's just like the clutch group coming out, making sure that Rainbow Renegades get that third map, because it was looking very dicey for them going into the end of that second map. And Cut-G, I mean, only playing Echo for that one map did the most damage, you know, on his team, as well as the most damage for himself on that hero.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane play on the Echo there. Completely just being super oppressive, building those ults up very quickly, and getting a lot of utility out of it. You know, grabbing that Mora to get out of that dangerous situation, and then still using the Coalescence from the back as well. Even when they went down a healer, it didn't matter because the Coalescence was able to output damage and simultaneously heal, which was actually massive. But we are now squaring up to move on to map 2, King's Row.
The bread and butter of ZA Overwatch, pretty much everyone knows this map. We always speak about this, and I mean, Parry, you know so much about this map.
Got some good memories on this map, some insane plays. Super fun map for Reinhardt, my all-time fave. But yeah, we've got a lot of long channels on this map, which makes that Earthshatter really powerful. Man, I miss King's Row. If you had to ask me one map that I miss from this game, it's got to be this one.
Yeah, I think that's for a lot of people. I mean, we always think about this. It's a map that everyone, you know, over all of Overwatch pretty much understands. You know, it kind of comes down to now everyone calling it Scrims Row, because every single scrim, you know, you see this map at least like once a week.
You gotta play King's Row.
And it's just, and you know, you're expecting the Reinhardt. We are going to see that from Zord, looks like, to start off. Actually, no, he's swapping onto the Winston, so not really preferring that Reinhardt play. And considering it's backed by a Mercy Lucio, I think it's a good choice. You're going to struggle for a lot of healing. On top of that, there's also the Pharah, so the Mercy's priorities on Zex's trade. Wallace actually swapping over to the Honor, so, you know, Reinhardt is still more of a potential, but we are going to see a Hog Sigma coming out of 4E here.
Yeah, Quad E rushing out the gates. Tox throwing up the barrier with Sigma, just trying to block off some of that Pharah damage. They're pushing in here. Zol up in the front. Oh, that's a huge anti-nade on Quad E, but unfortunately Zol just overextending, gets taken out. And now Rainbow Renegades are on the back foot there without a main tank. Quad E looking good to push here. Baptiste does throw down that Immortality field, but it's not really needed. There's not a lot of damage going on to them right now. There is a bit of disruption happening. Sleep does get onto Tox, but unfortunately he gets woken up by the Wrecking Ball. They're just trying to cause some disruption here, stop Quad E from pushing forward, but Quad E are getting the pick slowly but surely, and they're inching forward towards this point. Unfortunately, Rainbow Renegades, with some good, even with some good sustain and disruption there, Fluffy with a huge hook onto Wallace, just stopping that healing, and yeah, it looks like Quad E are gonna get this point in a very quick fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it took a bit of time, obviously, after that first pick onto, you know, Zol and the Winston, but credit there has to go to Cubic, drawing a lot of resources, not really allowing Quad E to get to point, but once they kind of set a foothold, you know, they got those 2 picks, you know, Bubbles wasn't able to get that res off, and just from there, you know, there's only so much disruption at Cubic.
Yeah, we see a long anti-nature here, but unfortunately we're seeing a lot of picks coming out of the side of Quad E here. They are playing a slow, progressive game, just trying to pull out. Oh, and we've got the Dragons come out, picking out Drostar. The Sigma does go down as well. So Quad E here making some good space for themselves, just slowly picking each other off. The Pharah and the Mercy here just trying to poke in some damage and just stall them as much as they can. But the Hanzo getting aggressive here in the Ashe as well. Oh, overextending and getting into that tight channel where that Pharah could just take them out like that.
But we were seeing, like, as you said, more of this pick stuff coming out of Quad E, and it seems to be working for them so far. You know, you would think Fluffy going up against Cubic on this Roadhog is going to be a tough matchup, but after that first fight, Fluffy actually getting the better of him.
Yeah, Fluffy getting some key hooks in here, but we do see Cubic here on the high ground with the Hog. He's going to retreat, go back to the main channel, where they're going to try and hold. Bubbles getting stuck on the corner there, nearly getting picked off, but he manages to get around. Cubic trying to look for the hook, but we see the Immortality field coming out, blocking off any potential kills there from that Bob. The Bob being thrown out as well by Quad E. They're throwing down a lot of resources, getting some key picks, and just pretty much brute forcing Rainbow Renegades off the cart. And it looks like they're going to get to the point here and get squared for the final push. We do see Tox getting very aggressive here on the Sigma.
Yeah, and something very interesting to note, like we're obviously expecting more of this controlled play coming out of Quad E, but they seem to be trying to match Rainbow Renegades and like these kind of comp styles, but what we're seeing, they're still playing a bit more of a controlled, just slower style, waiting to kind of, for Rainbow Renegades to make these mistakes in their position, and picking them off as they do so.
Yeah, we see the Ashe on the high ground there, trying to compete, but the Sigma Tox is absolutely annihilating her. So they're going to slowly push forward here. Rainbow Renegades are down in DPS. Elven gets taken out by the Widow Swap. And that Widow Swap, again, taking out the Res Ashe, and that might be a key swap here.
Yeah, and the
You see the EMP coming out. That's a 5-man EMP, 6-man EMP? I don't know, that was a lot of people EMP'd all at once. So Rainbow Renegade's gonna push forward here, get control of the cart, and yeah, Quad E are gonna look to reset here.
Yeah, and it's a very important stabilizers fight. Yes, you invest quite a lot into that, the Flux EMP, but it's better to get a stabilizer and let them just push for free. They do need to be very careful. You've got this Gravitic Flux Dragons combo potentially coming up. Also, Whole Hog as well against that Wrecking Ball. If he gets hooked, can go down very quickly.
Yeah, we are seeing Quad E here gradually pushing forward. Cubic trying to make it difficult, but they do get that Quadratic Flux up, and the Dragons do come out. They managed to pull 2 out with that combo, the Sigma and the Zenyatta. So Quad E are going to look to push forward here with cover from the Whole Hog. Whole Hog indeed taking another Wrecking Ball, good call. Elven does go down to the Widow again, but Dragon managing to get the res off this time. So Quad E looking good here, the Sigma getting aggressive, the Roadhog getting aggressive. Roadhog unfortunately getting slept, hacked, and anti-nated. He's going to go down. The Immortality Field did come out from Ravester to try and save him, but unfortunately just too late. And it looks like Rainbow Renegades are in a good position to try and stall the final push here. And yeah, Quad E did invest quite a few ults, so it's going to be interesting to see how they come back now.
Yeah, now with the cart in kind of a position, is a very difficult place to push, quite a long sight lines. Also, Fluffy just needs to be very careful here. He kind of got called out last fight. There's a lot of CC that can stop him, sleep, anti-nade, hack, means he's just not going to be effective. He's not going to be healed up. He can't sustain himself either, so it's going to be very key that he plays a bit more of a reserve play style.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of good picks coming out of this Widowmaker. Alex gets the boost and gets in the back, but he gets hooked off. Huge hook. He's trying to stay up, but unfortunately it's just not going to happen as Quad E are pushing here for the retake. We did see a bunch of defensive ults on the side of Rainbow Renegades, but they just haven't been able to make use of them. Bubbles going down before he can get out that Transcendence, and the tanks are pushing the cart here on the side of Quad E. Oh, they're just short. Alex manages to get the touch. The Transcendence does come out. It's a panic fest here. Immortality Field, Dragons. Can Quad E get the final push? They do. And Quad E managing to get 3 points with 1 minute, 57 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, and that's a very good cap time things are in general. It's always difficult to get to that 3rd point. I mean, even when we've seen teams over the course of today, 5 minutes in the time back, all of a sudden that becomes, overtime push. You have to kind of scramble. So it's a difficult point to get through. And we saw, a couple blips in the road on towards the 3rd point, but it's bound to happen. And the fact that they were able to really, push through onto that 3rd point, get that cap through, puts a lot of pressure onto Rainbow Renegades. And now they kind of have to rethink, how do we approach this? They've come up with something which kind of matches us in terms of compositions. Do we try and match them, or do we try something slightly different to disrupt what they're trying to do to us?
Yeah, I think the Widow from Alakachi being very effective there towards the end of that round, but unfortunately just not being enough. He managed to pick off Elven quite a bit, which proceeded to open up a lot of space for his team. And also even just eliminating the Mercy Res, taking that utility out, which was pretty big, and forced Quad E to just pull back, regroup. But Quad E are being really efficient when it comes to letting go of the fights, pulling back, and just regrouping. But let's see here what Rainbow Renegades can do on the attack.
We're going to see that Widowmaker again, so something that I'm interested to see if we get... Actually, wait, no, they're going to just swap straight away. Gone to more of this May McCree with a Zarya Diva, potentially, maybe Reinhardt? Not really sure. Yeah, there's the Reinhardt.
Oh boy. Here he comes. The big man himself. They're going to push on the point. Quaddy here, just trying to play off the high ground here with that Sigma shield, get some damage in, but the chunky Zarya just managing to sneak underneath there with the McCree. They're going to try and get up behind them while the Rhine pushes from the front, but they're a bit split up now. Oh, but they do get back up there. That McCree being absolutely lethal there with the Zarya, just melting through Quaddy, and Rainbow Renegades are going to get the take here. That was a nice split push.
Very, very clean from him. I think something that maybe Quad E weren't really expecting, this Reinhardt play to come out from the team. We haven't seen, I think, since their first series, so a bit of a surprise from them. They are going to switch on to the Reinhardt himself, but still should get punished here.
Yeah, we're seeing 2 Reinhardts out now. Man, I love this. Yeah, they tried to get a bit aggressive there. Quad E are going to be able to regain some ground here and just try and get control of this choke and stop the cart from getting further, just burn off some of that time. They know that they've got time in the bank. They've just got to try and whittle down as much time as they can off of Rainbow Renegades here.
And that really can, I mean, as you mentioned, this choke point, one of the hardest choke points to push through in Overwatch. With the Mei going down already, you're pushing into a Reinhardt, a Sigma, an Ashe, McCree, both being damage boosted. It's a very scary ask.
Yeah, and we see here both teams just fighting over the choke. The Zarya does manage to push through, but she's on her own. The Immortality field does come out for Quad E. Tocs looking really low. Amplification coming out here. They're going to try and get some damage onto that Reinhardt barrier and just get it down. But, oh, it's a huge Mei wall. The ult does come out from the Hanzo, but that's a bit late. The Flux, Gravitic Flux not going through. So, yeah, that was some insane play there out of Droestar. Huge wall to block off half the team and get some vital picks, and then to stop the Gravitic Flux.
A really good play, and you just like your favorite hero Reinhardt, my favorite hero Mei coming out. So it's really great to see.
You're a horrible person.
I am a terrible person, trust me. I am aware of that, and I enjoy the pain of others. Let's just say that.
God. Okay, so Rainbow Renegades here. They are moving the cart slowly but surely. Quad E trying to get in, but they get grabbed. That's 3-man grab, but the Immortality Matrix does come out. Huge slam coming through, and oh my goodness, huge Deadeye coming through, managing to just get 3 kills and completely wiping Quad E off of the point.
A big ult investment fight there coming out of Rainbow Renegades. You're committing basically everything except the Blizzard, so a bit scary. But the anti-nade as well from Wallace came out really big there. Yes, it was the Deadeye that cleaned up all those kills, but every single one of those members was low.
Yeah, and even though the Immortality field did come out, not enough. Tocs getting the pin here on Zol. The barrier from Zarya was a bit late, but here the Mei ult comes. Unfortunately, Ryan gets stuck out, and both Ryans are dead. We are seeing some picks coming here on the side of Rainbow Renegades. They are pushing forward. The Zarya barriers coming in clutch, just allowing Bubbles to really get in the face there on that Lucio and be super annoying. Get the boops and just disrupt the enemy team, pushing them back. Yeah, Rainbow Renegades getting some very solid picks here. They've got a lot of time left in the bank. And Reaper does manage to get on the point. Elven going to try and stall for as long as he can, but just not enough. We can see another Deadeye come out. Is it going to clear the point? It does clear the point, but Fluffy here on the Zarya, trying to stall, trying to buy as much time as he can. Can his team get there in time? Unfortunately not. Rainbow Renegades, 4 minutes in the bank, 3-3.
That is a terrifying push coming out of Rainbow Renegades here. Bringing up the standard Mei McCree comp with the Ana Lucio, not something that we even have seen a lot from most teams, and just really taking it to Quad E here, kind of catching them off guard, and something which I think Quad E need to be looking to is punishing these flank from the McCree, and also this push from the Zarya. You see Cubic on the Zarya pushing way past his Reinhardt, not really getting punished for it well, and at the same time that McCree getting those crucial picks in the backline. We saw a couple times, killing the Baptiste, killing the Ashe, killing that Mercy, made it very difficult for Quad E really to get a foothold in these fights.
Yep, some really good split-up play here from the side of Rainbow Renegades. They are showing that even when they're apart, they are still together. And just completely annihilating the defense of Quad E. Quad E here with 1 minute 57 on the clock. They're going to want to push through and just kind of roll over them. How do you think they're going to manage to do that?
I think they need to kind of take the aggression to them. You know, we've obviously seen this Reinhardt composition come out, so they're probably expecting this, and they're going to match it with more of this rush style. So look to punish them. You know, this is a comp that really does punish those flanks, does punish that Zarya pushing a bit too far forward. You know, you've got that Reaper for that damage as well as that Sombra hack.
Yeah, we see the Hanzo here climbing up the statue looking for some picks. Quaddy here in a nice tight uniform dive. We see Fluffy going up. Doesn't get pinned by Zol. Zol goes down. That's one down in favor of Rainbow Renegades, but Rainbow Renegades now got Damien and Elven. Both DPS from Quaddy are down. So it's just the tanks trying to get Bubbles and manage to pick him off here. They are slowly but surely, again, warding Rainbow Renegades off the point, and it looks like they're going to get the take here, just barely.
Very, very clean engage they're coming from quite EE. Yes, they do end up losing a couple picks to that Hanzo, but ensuring that Reinhardt went down very quickly, you know, before too many resources invested, it allowed Fluffy then to commit onto that Ana, get rid of her from the fight. You know, that's all that healing gone.
Yeah, that was
alive.
That was a good anti-nade on Fluffy, but he manages to push forward and get Bubbles. Both supports now down on the side of Rainbow Renegades, sorry. So they are pushing forward. Quaddy, the cart is still quite a way behind them, so they're going to try and hold this choke, just prevent Rainbow Renegades from pushing them a bit further back. But it looks like they're going to rather try and reconsolidate here on the cart. And we've got the Sombra here just scouting, getting some information for her team, trying to see exactly what Rainbow Renegade are up to.
Yeah, and because of this aggression, they've got a decent amount of card pressure. You know, they push it through a couple of these turns, and now towards the end, it's going to be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, we've got a hack coming through on SunPheonyx. He goes down. The Dragons not coming through. They get eaten by Tocs. The Death Blossom coming in from Elven in the back gets two. Elven then getting another one, and Dragon Wolf just finishing off that Reinhardt. And Quaddy here, they're looking to get to the final push. They are going to have a tough time of it.
And
we're going to have to see if Rainbow Renegades can come up with an answer here. They need to get them off that cart.
Yeah, it's a very important, you know, it's one fight territory now. On the side of the quad E, but the Nano does come out.
Huge, potentially huge, but the Mei Wall and the Rhine Shield blocking off that Devault. We do see a pin get onto Fluffy. That could be dangerous, but he pops the primal range. Huge slam coming through. There's nobody protecting the backline of Quaddy here, but unfortunately the Reinhardt all by himself, nobody to follow up on that slam. So Quaddy here managing to just get into the back of Rainbow Renegades and manage to just keep pushing the cart. We are in overtime here, and as Terrence said, this is one fight territory. Rainbow Renegades just gotta win one fight.
There was a really clutch from Fluffy, you know, getting that primal, able to disrupt ball. Yes, Soul hit the big shadow. There was just absolutely no follow-up because Fluffy was disrupting the backline.
And we're seeing a lot of ults coming out now from Quaddy. We see the EMP come out. Tocs frozen in the back. Dressar just trying to disrupt and freeze as much as he can. That hook was absolutely insane by SunPheonyx getting the Ravester. It looks like they are going to manage to push Quaddy off the point here. And that's going to be the end of this push. Score is now 3-5. And yeah, Rainbow Renegade still with 4 minutes and 8 seconds in the bank.
Yeah, I think if you are, you know, South Quad E, you're very happy with that push. You know, 2 minutes on the clock, more or less. Getting that card basically to the end means now you've got yourself, you know, you've given yourself a lot of time to work with here. You guarantee that if you take these fights as fast as you possibly can, you force as many fights as possible. By the time it gets towards that third point, then we're looking at a lot shorter of a time bank. Yes, it's still a very long time, you know, 4 minutes, 8 seconds, a little over what you're used to defending. But it's still a possibility. You know, if we start to see a couple fights go quite easy way, especially on this first point, then that time is going to dwindle very quickly.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see Quad E going with a very nice comp here. In my opinion, I think it looks like they're going to try and hold the low ground. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that as well. I mean, you might have that McCree and Hanzo on the high ground spamming a bit from those angles, but the Ryan Zarya, the Morio Lucio are looking to play on point. You know, kind of hold them down, not really allow them to get those flank angles that we saw on that first point. Yeah, that was a big issue that we saw Quad E had. They kind of allowed them to take those positions because they were running the Sigma Hog kind of setup, meant that they didn't really have control of the low ground. Stairs were readily available. They took that opportunity and killed that Ash straight away.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. The Hanzo is there on that high ground, but the rest of the team from Quaddy just posting around this corner, waiting for the impending push of Rainbow Renegades. They are at the choke, coming through. Some little bits of damage being traded here and there, but nothing major yet. Rainbow Renegades have lost their Reinhardt barrier. It is destroyed, but it is now back up as the Rhine is getting super aggressive. His Mei nearly walls him off, but the Mei wall does manage to get Tocs in a bit of an awkward position. Ooh, who gets hooked and pulled out? The Zarya barrier does keep him alive. It's going to be a close brawl here. Unfortunately, Dro not able to get the wall and isolate him. So Quaddy here are sticking close together. Tocs going for the super aggressive pin while low. Unfortunately goes down, but they do manage to take down the enemy Rhine. So while they did lose their main tank, it looks like Quaddy are going to be able to mop up the rest of the opposition here, and they are going to hold this point, but they now are without their Reinhardt.
They did buy a bit of time for the Reinhardt to come back, getting those late picks, and especially that pick onto Wallace means now that it's going to be very difficult for Rainbow because Grav does come out.
You see the Grav come out, just trying to buy some time here. Fluffy does go down, getting a bit aggressive there. His barrier not able to quite save him, so they are now again without a tank. And Rainbow Renegades are grouped up here. Wallace just coming out of spawn. We see a Shatter come out from Tocs, unfortunately not getting anyone. The Deadeye coming out. Big anti-nade. Nothing coming from the Deadeye, unfortunately. Huge slam from Zol, managing to get 3 and just allowing Rainbow Renegades to steamroll through and grab that point. They are going to try and get aggressive now, get some picks, which they managed to do. They managed to pull out Fluffy. So Quaddy are going to have to reconsolidate here.
And a bit of a questionable play there for Fluffy after getting that pick onto Wallace. Got caught out pretty badly, and investing the Grav seemed like a bit of a panic move. No one there to follow up. He ends up dying, and they don't have that for the next fight.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Alex getting a good hook there onto Elven, managing to get that pick. We do see the Rainbow Renegade McCree here on the high ground, but he's going to get pushed by the Zarya. Is by himself, and Rainbow Renegade is a bit disrupted here. The Reinhardt being super aggressive, being low, not shielding the Ana, who gets picked off by the Hanzo, and the Dragons coming out and picking up both tanks. So Quaddy here are going to get control of the cart. Tocs getting aggressive. They're looking for more picks. They're trying to get that Mei. Forced out the ice block. Will they be able to pick her off? Nope, she's going to get away. And Rainbow Renegades are going to regroup here, just waiting for Bulbs to respawn. Quaddy falling back, just trying to hold the space.
Yeah, and it's a really good fight so far. You're only a minute 20 now versus that 4 minutes. Means that by the time this card gets to the end, it's going to be towards overtime.
That's a big wall coming out from the Mei. Drostar, absolutely insane wall, followed up by the ult, just allowing their team to get huge picks on the side of the Lucio and the Reinhardt. Zol now free to run through and just swing that hammer. That's what you like to see. Gets rid of the Hanzo, and yeah, Quaddy gonna have to quickly regroup here and try and get back control of that cart. Rainbow Renegades looking large and in charge here.
Yeah, and it is sort of like not the worst thing here coming from Quaddy. They still burnt a lot of the time off, 50 seconds now, meaning that again it's going to be that one fight territory kind of situation coming into third point.
Yeah, we do see the slam come through. Tocs blocks. Oh, and he comes back with his own, managing to get out that Mora. He's getting in the back. The Deadeye comes out, but unfortunately nothing coming of that. Tocs getting Zol getting in the back, unfortunately getting taken out, and Quaddy have got control of the cart here. There's only 25 seconds remaining for Rainbow Renegades to get control of the cart and push it through. What do you think is going to happen in this next fight?
I'm very worried for Rainbow Renegades, coming into this team fight. No ultimate versus the Grav Dragons, notorious for just that one fight combo win. As long as you hit 3 members here, Fluffy, it's probably a fight win.
Yeah, we do see the Wrecking Ball here. They're coming in for the last touch. Tocs getting aggressive. We do see that Grab Dragon come out. There's no Diva to eat it. Nothing to stop that happening. It gets 3. The Deadeye comes out from Elven, just gets rid of the McCree. There's just bubbles. Oh no, unfortunately, nobody loved to touch the point, and it looks like Quaddy will take Scrim's Row.
And quite clinical in the end, actually, coming from them there. Their insane second push on their second attack, getting the payload into a position where they had a lot of time to work with, despite the fact that it's still 4 minutes to defend. So they just made sure, okay, let's win as many fights as we can, slow down the progression, so we can get it. We play this kind of Grav Dragon so that if it gets to these situations, where it's the overtime fights, we need one fight win. That's all we need. That's exactly what they did. they pulled it out, got those 3 picks, and from there it was just that cleanup on that last point.
Yeah, some really good resource management on the side of Quad E there. I mean, the score is now 1-1. We are evened out, and what do you think so far, Terran? Do you think both teams are now fully in the game? Do you think that we're going to see a more competitive match, or do you think that now that Quad E have hit their stride, they're going to just take it away?
I think that this is going to tend towards the favor of Quad E now. The more these maps go on, there's only so much that Quad E can really get surprised with. Now the fact that they've seen them come out potentially with this brawl, they're going to be keeping that in the back of their mind. So they're not going to be playing these comps maybe that get countered by this brawl. So they're going to be waiting for those adjustments, seeing, we know if they play X comp, we can counter in this. So obviously, there might be something that Rainbow Renegades do have in their locker that they can bring out that's going to change things. But I think going forward into Havana, it does tend towards more of a chaotic playstyle, so they might get away with some of these crazier plays, but Quad E looking even more comfortable the more the series goes on.
Yeah, and we are seeing a lot of good resource management, like I said, from the last game. So Quad E managing to keep a cool head. Rainbow Renegades trying to be, disruptive and just cause some chaos in the back there, but not unfortunately quite managing on that King's Row. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things go as we go into Havana.
I'm expecting some snipers coming out, potentially another fire from I Like You Cut G. I think it's something he's been tending towards quite a bit, obviously after that first map, but maybe even an Echo. We haven't seen that again after Nepal, and it just got so much value. Maybe that's kind of the answer to crack Quad E here.
Yeah, but we do have to keep in mind that Quad E also very good on that double hit scan. Elven very comfortable on that Ash, so it could potentially be quite dangerous in the sky there for Pharah or an Echo.
We also could see that Widowmaker from like doing very well in the defense King's Row. Third point King's Row has always been a notoriously strong Widowmaker point, and now you're going on to possibly the strongest Widowmaker map, in terms of first and third point in the game. So a little bit scary, but we have seen Damien pull that out as well. Maybe matches that Widow 1v1 sees how that kind of goes, or they just, instead of, they just kind of ignore that Widowmaker, say, we don't care about your Widow, we're just going to aggress onto your team, especially potentially like a close hold here, with a Reinhardt, even that rush kind of dive brawl that we've seen from them. But we'll obviously have to wait and see, but while this is just getting water, so we cannot go into that map just yet.
Yeah, well, I can't blame him. It's been some very intense matches so far, very clutch. I cannot tell a lie. I'm very, very excited to potentially see a Widow 1v1. Those are always very enjoyable to watch, with some very cheeky peeks and very cheeky flicks. I'm hoping that we will get to see some of that, but even if they just play a more ground-based team comp and just try and steamroll through, that's all good too. I don't mind. I'm just here for the action.
It's been an exciting series so far. A lot of back and forth. It hasn't been both of these one-sided matches that we've had. Our most recent match was a bit of a stomp from H, whereas now this is very competitive. Each fight kind of taking on a form of its own a lot of the time. Some fights are extremely fast-paced, others a bit slower. There's a bit of stalk coming out. The picks start off, but then they can't really get too much momentum. Then all of a sudden, 4 or 5 picks come out. So I'm really excited to see how the series carries on.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see just how Quad E are going to maintain that momentum from the last match. Rainbow Renegades, they do have the first map, Nepal, still in the bank, so they know that they can get the wins. They just have to keep it together, try not to let King's Road get to them, and just break apart some of Quad E's momentum.
That's going to be very important. Something we always see in these kind of like Pride Cup, Talent Cup tournaments, where momentum is so important a lot of the time. You get rolling on one kind of style, one kind of composition, and if it's not broken by the enemy team, you just can't really come back from that, because you don't have that overall team synergy of having played together for months and then just scrimmed all these different maps, you still you by now, yes, players are getting used to each other, but there's still that bit of a custom period where there's some things that aren't exactly perfect. Something we always discuss is a Torbjorn, always a solid pick in these kind of situations, because the turret is generally something that is always assigned to the X heroes to shoot at. But when you're not really prepping for that because you haven't had the time to, then no one really shoots at that turret. Turret gets a lot of value, and then all of a sudden there's a molten core coming at you.
Yeah, and we are now going through to Havana. Teams are getting ready to start the match. We've got a long push ahead of both these teams. A lot of long channels and a lot of tight spaces in the building. So it's going to be interesting to see what team comps they're going to pick now.
And there's also something very interesting. So far, we haven't seen second or third point of Havana yet. Both games we've had on this map, all been full holds. So now, kind of for both teams, they're looking at can they push past this first point. We're potentially seeing a fire from both sides. Soldier for Elven 7, the double shield setup, which worked pretty well for them when they played this map initially against Babsy. Getting that full hold. Damien's fire really looking strong on that map.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here as Quad E squaring up to go on the offensive, and Rainbow Renegades not quite ready yet. Oh no, there they are. They're going to go for a close hold here, but Quad E being disruptive already with that Wrecking Ball. We've got, yeah, that's the Pharah down on the side of Quad E already. Sorry, on the side of Rainbow Renegades. Rainbow Renegades are trying to break through here, but Quad E just managing to hold. They get the res on the Pharah. They're getting some good picks now. Just holding that momentum and really starting to push Rainbow Renegades back into spawn. They gotta be careful not to get too aggressive here though.
And so far we're seeing a bit of a Pharah difference, but maybe some of that comes down to positional advantage. Getting a lot of this ult charge down here, Damien coming close to that barrage, making it very difficult for all of Rainbow Renegades to get to a choke point. I mean, practically the only one that has is that Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, we are gonna see Damien go down here. And the Mercy get the res off. She goes for it, and she does manage to pull it off here. So Quad E, she loses her life for it as the bongos come out, the immortality field as well, just a tad late. We do see the visor come out from the soldier here, gonna take down the Pharah. He's looking for that Mercy, manages to get that last little tap as well. So Quad E are still looking good to hold here. They have lost a few. There's gonna be a while for them to get back. Damien already back. Now they're just without the Mercy. Can Rainbow Renegades use that to their advantage? They get the hook onto the Pharah. Pharah is down. So Rainbow Renegades are looking good to push here, but we are seeing a barrage come out, manages to get some huge damage, immortality field, and the Baptiste and the soldier. Looks like Rainbow Renegades are going to push through here, get control of the cart, and get it moving.
It's a good hold there in the end from Quad E, getting 2 minutes off the clock, forcing out quite a few ultimates. You now see Alakakat G without that Mercy. So against Elven's soldier ways, really struggled quite a bit. Elven's gonna have a bit of an easier time. Damien alone in with that Mercy pocket, going to get a lot more value.
We do see the barrage come out and get 2 out of nowhere, picking out that Zenyatta and the Pharah, who gets caught in that little corridor. So the whole hog comes out, EMP as well on the side of Rainbow Renegades. They're going to try and get some value out of these ults, even though they lost 2 picks at the start of the fight. Elven getting some good picks here off that soldier. Alex just on the cart. Zol a bit stuck out there in between the enemy team. So Rainbow Renegades are going to get pushed back here as Quad E regain control of the cart.
And something that Quad E have done such a great job of through most of the series is not really allowing Cubic on the Roadhog, the Wrecking Ball, to get enough value. There's always something looking at him. He's not just left alone in the backline getting those hooks. If he gets that hook kill, he's always traded out. Make sure that then that can get rezzed up by this Mercy, and we are going to see a bit of a swap up in comps.
Yeah, we do see the Orisa working out very well here for Quaddy as well. Holding that line, just blocking those Roadhog hooks as well. And just being super oppressive, getting some picks towards the end of that last fight. But the Hog does manage to get the pick onto Damien. And we do see the visor come out from the Soldier. Not quite able to see anyone. Gravitic Flux. The Mercy gets picked off by the Roadhog. It looks like Quaddy are going to have to pull back here, but they are getting picks. The Orisa does get pulled out, but she's able to fortify. She looks like she'll be all right. We do see the Nano Boost go onto the Hog. It pops whole Hog. He's going to be able to push them back here. Rainbow Renegades are going to get control of the cart. Huge play there by Cubic on the Hog, making a lot of space there for his team.
And there's someone you can't keep him quiet for long here. GM level player always going to guarantee get value. And plus that nano boost meant that there was just so much space now, and he's already getting another pick onto Elven Slayer.
Yeah, getting some really good picks here. The Bongo does come out from the side of Quaddy. It does unfortunately get taken out fairly quickly though. So Rainbow Renegades look like they're going to get on here. Yeah, they managed to get through and get some more time in the bank. They are still getting picks here, and it looks like Quaddy are just going to take the wipe and reset.
And for the first time, we get to see point two, we get to see the inside where it's a bit harder to get value out of this fire, and we see Damien already swap, as well as the Wraiths to swap onto their honor. Means now they're playing more towards potentially a swap from Fluffy and Tox, but keeping it for now. The Nano Visor is very strong though.
Yeah, we are seeing Cubic getting some really cheeky angles here. He's now starting to really hit his stride and get some clutch hooks, much like that one onto Tox on the Sigma. He does go to the low ground, but he is going to make it out. We see the Soldier on the high ground here. Alekikachi just poking from the side. Oh, he gets taken out by Elven. Huge Helix rockets there. We see the Transcendence come out on the side of Rainbow Renegades. They are trying to stay in this, but the anti-nade comes out. Bubbles goes down. Cubic goes down. The Sombra is out of there, and they're going to try and beat a retreat here as Quaddy retains control of the card.
And really, you're seeing Elven, you match up on the Soldier really well. Getting quite a few picks actually on like Yukachi. In a lot of these fights make it very difficult for them to really take these kind of 6v6 fights. Cubic left alone a lot of these times. We saw him underneath for quite some time after getting forced out and not really allowed any of that space that he was given on first point.
Yeah, we see Rainbow Renegades here trying to get onto the high ground so that they can just drop down and take. We see the Gravitic Flux come out. It gets the Soldier. He's got the visor, but he gets the Nano Boost, which keeps him alive. He's getting through. He's just wiping everyone. That's a 4K for the visor. He gets the 5th as well, and that was a great time Nano Boost, great time visor, great combo.
Yeah, and there's something you're always looking at is never pick up a Soldier and McCree as a Sigma. You don't want to be picking up with your Flux and just allowing him so much space, so much airtime with that Nano Visor.
We do see the visor and the Bongo come out, but the anti-nade means Elven can't quite peek. He's got to play it a bit carefully so he doesn't get full utility out of that visor. They do get some good picks though. They've got the Ana down, which is a big loss for Rainbow Renegades as they're going to try and hold this point. The anti goes up to the Roadhog. Even though he's popped the whole hog, unfortunately he's just going to get whittled down. No healing on him. So it looks like Rainbow Renegades are going to get knocked off the point here. The Dragons are on their way. Just going to clear that point. Just a little bit of time. And Quaddy, they hold it.
Really good hold from Quaddy there, even towards the second point, just losing the fights, losing players. They held their nerve a lot of the time. And I think something which you've got to mention is the Mercy reses. Sometimes maybe Dragon Wolf getting picked off after that res got through, but a lot of those reses came in clutch, and we saw that initial res onto Damien after you get picked off in first point meant that he was able to still rain in damage from the sky. Yes, he then goes in and dies afterwards, looking for that rocket barrage without the Mercy pocket, but it just buys so much more time, and it's such a crucial aspect of defending escort maps, especially is just buying as much time as you possibly can, forcing teams to take capture points in overtime. It's always these kind of scramble fights that you're forcing them into, and that means that regardless of what ends up happening, even if we saw your Rainbow Renegades cap second point, they're still probably looking at only an overtime cap on third.
Yeah, and we are seeing Quaddy with the Echo. It's going to be interesting to see what Damien can do on Echo. Tocs not yet picked. We don't know what the second tank is going to be for Quaddy. We see the Orisa and the Wrecking Ball on the side of Rainbow Renegades, and the Reaper as well, which is an interesting pick. Do you think they're anticipating maybe a Roadhog?
I think it's either in anticipation of like this Roadhog or Winston, because I don't think like, other than that, you know, Quad E have really leaned into something where Reaper would be a good pick here. Maybe expecting that kind of rush dive where they can counter the aggression with this Reaper, but that's not nearly what we're seeing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is indeed not what Quaddy are playing. As they get onto the cart here, they're going to just go for a hold with the Sigma and the rest of the barriers coming out, just blocking a lot of that damage off from that high ground. Again, Dragon Wolf getting a clutch res there onto Elven, who's going to be able to just get some damage in on that high ground. Maybe look for some picks. We see Cubic here getting into the background, trying to disrupt them, but unfortunately he gets taken out. The Reaper as well, getting immediately sleep darted by the Ana and getting taken out. So Quaddy looking really good here. They've got some picks. They're gonna force Rainbow Renegades off that high ground. Rainbow Renegades now on the back foot, trying to get back with the Orisa stuck in the open there. Wallace does manage to get through and just keep her out of trouble. The barrier coming up as well.
Yeah, and the double snipers have already been so clutch. Damien does go down there. Good timing with that nade and pile drive.
Yeah, the Wrecking Ball here really starting to disrupt the flow of Quad E, but Dragon Wolf again getting the res and getting away with it, not getting punished, does get low here, gets slept, so unfortunately the Mercy does get taken out. Tocs looking real low, and it looks like Quad E are gonna have to just pull back here, regroup. Their fortified position on the cart has been taken away from them.
Yeah, and the one weakness of this double sniper setup is the fact that you don't have any punish for that Wrecking Ball. Maybe you've got Storm Arrows to put damage in, but that's not guaranteed going to kill a Wrecking Ball. So we're going to see Elven swap over to the Sombra now. With that, you know, a potential hack on that Wrecking Ball means that Hanzo can get a lot more damage.
We see the bongos come out on the side of Quad E, but there are a lot of ults being popped here on the side of Rainbow Renegades, and they are just trying to hold on to this point. They get to sleep on the Fluffy. It's Battle of the Orisas here, but unfortunately Fluffy goes down and Zol as well. So Quaddy just trying to hold on to this point, but they have the nearby spawn. The hack comes through onto the Wrecking Ball, so he goes down. Rainbow Renegade's not going to be able to stall that much longer. Will they get another chance to hold them off from this first point?
They should with the Wrecking Ball coming back, but clutch switch from Elven Slayer here, you know, getting the hack onto the Wrecking Ball a couple times, preventing Cubic really from getting too much value, denying a lot of the space that he wants to be creating.
Yeah, we do see him manage to get on the point, just stall it for a second there. The Dragons do come through on that channel, gets enough damage through to get rid of Wallace. That's a huge pick. Again, Fluffy getting a pick on the Reaper, the Gravitic Flux taking out the Mercy, and unfortunately, Alakikachi falling victim to some healing rockets there. But we are going to see Quad E take the first point. They've got 3 minutes, 35 seconds on the clock to push through, and they are getting aggressive here. Elven getting a huge pick onto the Orisa of Rainbow Renegades. That's going to create a whole lot of space. It means Rainbow Renegades have to cede more and more ground and just continue to fall back as Quad E are allowed to just push forward and maintain pressure. Fluffy on his own here, but his team quick to rotate, give him the support he needs so that he can hold that high ground. As Rainbow Renegades are trying to push into him. The Reaper does get in the back here. He's going to look to try and get on the supports, but immediately has to phase out as he gets put under pressure. Fluffy, again, getting aggressive here with the reinforcement. He gets anti-nated, and he's at a bad angle here. He needs to get back behind the barrier, which he does. The Death Blossom coming out potentially could have been huge, but he got anti-nated and immediately taken out, focused out. Huge res coming through here from Dragon Wolf. Again, massive reses. And Quad E still looking good here. The cart is slowly but surely moving. And Rainbow Renegades are just not able to consolidate. They're not getting together. Dragon's going to come through. It's going to just zone them out even more. The EMP comes out, preventing the Wrecking Ball from doing anything. Even after he got his ult out, didn't get much out of it. The bongos are going to come out for Quad E here in the final push. They're going to try and get through. They're just getting some damage into the high ground here as the high ground is, as the cart is inching closer and closer towards the point. Rainbow Renegades with that nano visor just trying to push through. They are getting a 3k off of that, and they are going to manage to just hold the cart just barely away from that final point.
A good hold there, and then with the nanovisor plus bongo, so much damage, you can't really stop that. Even though you've got that shield from Fluffy, it doesn't last all too long against something like a nanovisor. We're going to see Sombra from Drosa, so a bit of adaptations coming from both teams, and I think these are adaptations that need to happen from Rainbow Renegades. They're struggling really to deal with this kind of Sombra. Elven getting a lot of value, preventing Cubic really from playing the game a lot of the time, but moving over into that Roadhog, he should have a bit of a better time.
Yeah, we have 1 minute 35 seconds here left on the clock. As we see Quad E trying to push in here from the high ground, the D.Va pushing forward, trying to eat as much damage as she can, just make some space for her team. Quad E are pushing forward here. Rainbow Renegades are being forced to fall back a little bit. The cart is still moving backwards. No one on the cart just yet. Wallace in a bad spot here. He does get taken down by Fluffy as Quad E are pushing forward here. Fluffy now in the middle of the enemy team. He's a bit on his own there. Does get taken out. The cart is still moving backwards. So they're unfortunately going to have to fall back here and try and retake in the next minute.
Yeah, and you saw picks going back and forth there. Tox getting a bit too aggressive, getting hacked up, trying to punish that soldier that got res. Eventually gets punished himself, and then kind of leaving Fluffy on his own. But also at the same time, Wallace left in no man's land. So both these teams playing a bit scrappy at this point.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of picks coming out here, but it looks like Quad E are coming in here together. They are gonna fall prey to that visor again, though, on the high ground, but they are pushing out the soldier. He gets immediately dived by that D.Va and the Sombra. Sombra getting that big EMP off, but unfortunately, yeah, Rainbow Renegades are gonna get wiped here. It looks like it's just the Lucio who's gonna try his damnedest to just get on that cart. Gets flashbanged by the McCree. Sombra trying to get the hack off. Will he be able to stall until his team gets back? It looks like his team are not gonna make it in time at this rate. He gets back on it now. He's stalling Bubbles, trying to dance around as much as he can, getting hooked, antied. It does look like Rainbow Renegades here are taking back control of the high ground. Tox with that self-destruct, trying to just clear space on the point. The whole hog comes out. It's getting eaten by the D.Va though. Huge EMP from Joestar here. Does mean that they're going to clear triple Quad E off the point. And yeah, game goes to Rainbow Renegades.
Yeah,
the score is 2-1.
A bit of a weird kind of fight onto that second point, and I think Damien towards the end, they kind of blew that EMP on a really one fight. They were up 3 or 4 players, ended up EMPing and Arn and Orisa, who were basically left in the lurch. And I think EMP coming into that final fight would have been a lot better. As soon as that Lucio touches point, but maybe even that Tracer as well, the Roadhog, if they get hacked up, then there's no that whole hog, there's no disruption from this Lucio, that Tracer, that just allowed them that time to get back to point. So maybe a bit of a questionable EMP that allowed Rainbow Renegades to get back on point, but credit must go to them. Getting back to the point, buying as much time as they possibly can to get that ult out, and just kind of closing out this map and taking a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, some huge work there by Wallace, and I like Ikachi on that soldier and that Ana with the nanovisor. The gravitic flux, unfortunately, just being very poorly timed, allowing him to get up in the air and just get vision of the whole enemy team, which allowed him to get that 4K, 5K if you include the one that he got after the visor. So that was absolutely massive for them. But we are now going to be moving on to Temple of Anubis. So I think it's going to be interesting. We are now moving on to a 2CP map, which could go one of two ways.
Yeah, and that's something we were very discussed in 2CP. It's very much a map of, the first point, you just need to win one fight, you cap that. But then you get to second point, and yes, you win that second fight, but it's still that slug, to get everyone off of the point. And that's something that we've seen in Rainbow Renegades really strong at stalling points when it's absolutely necessary. So on the side of Elven's Eccentric, Electric, Eels, they're going to need to be able to clean up in those more of those stall fights. And I think it's a map we've seen them do pretty well on in terms of their defense. Yes, their first point hold looked a bit weak in their last series, but once they got to second point, 5.5 minutes in the bank to defend, and they ended up defending for that entire time, ended up pushing that on their own attack. So it's a map we've seen them play with. Rainbow Renegades not yet got to see them, but have at least experienced that map today. Something they weren't really accustomed to yesterday was experiencing a 2CP map going 12-0 throughout the entire maps. Did drop a map early in the day, but this is going to be a very interesting series to see how these two teams end up adapting.
Yeah, and we're gonna see some real interesting plays here with Temple of Anubis. There's a lot of different high grounds and a lot of different side angles and routes for teams to take. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Rainbow Renegades try and use that to their advantage. They're very good at splitting up while still maintaining some pretty good synergy as well, which causes a lot of chaos. As for Quad E, I'm going to be quite interested to see how they manage to maintain cohesion on the point. I noticed that Fluffy does get quite aggressive, but to be fair, it is warranted. He does seem to get a lot of really good picks when he's pushing forward like that.
Yeah, and I think that like the Orisa Shield, Orisa Sigma kind of play, while it was working on Havana, at some points, for Fluffy and Tox, it felt like they were a bit restricted. They wanted to be quite aggressive tanks, both of them, and very restricted by an Orisa Sigma coming. We saw Fluffy at one point on Orisa pushing forward into an enemy team. Anyways, if that's a Reinhardt, you say, okay, yeah, he's doing his job. But as an Orisa, you more want to see seeing that more reserved kind of playstyle, and maybe they tend to move away from that back to either the Reinhardt, Zarya comes, or that Winston Diva that they've been playing throughout the series.
Yeah, and we are now going into Temple of Anubis here, as the teams are going to be deciding exactly how they're going to handle this map. One of the things to note about Temple of Anubis is this beginning choke. Very, very difficult to push through. Can be incredibly oppressive if the defenders can take control of the high ground. How do you see that playing out, Terran?
Yeah, potentially a Junkrat, I think, is always a really strong play. The amount of choke points that you have to walk through. I mean, you look at, if you go an attacker side through the left side, there's really one choke point as you come through. Then as you come onto that high ground, there's a second choke point. Then if you try to go straight to point, there's still a couple of those, while not as strong choke points, you're always going to be pushing into an area Junkrat wants to be. But so far, it is going to be the Ash, which, again, not the worst kind of pick on this map. As Junkrat, a composition we see it quite a lot, and it's actually going to be the Pharaoh, rather, my bad. So, the kind of Sky Junkrat, in a way, coming out.
Sky Junkrat, when rats can fly. So, yeah, I mean, it does look like we're going to see Quad E here pick up the Echo and actually use her this time. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. They are pushing through here real fast with a dive comp. They are going to go through the side here, just getting through together, managing to not lose to any picks here. The Orisa here and the Roadhog just holding that choke, trying to stop them from getting through. The Diva Defense Major comes out, the dive comes through, Zol is in here, Elven gets hacked. Bubbles trying to keep Zol desperately alive here with the Winston electrocuting here. Winston does get hooked there by the Roadhog, has to fall back. Hack comes through onto Tox. We do see Zol go down. That's the main tank down for Rainbow Renegades. Dragon Wolf go down. Just kills all of their feed. And we've got the high ground here contested by Fluffy trying to get onto that Ana. And he does take her down, but gets traded out as well. Quaddy are on the point here with just Elven and Tox and the Ravester. Looks like the three of them are going to be enough, though, to take the first point.
Yeah, and they're kind of barreling themselves through their Orisa hog set, forcing them back, denying as much value, time for that Pharaoh to get those picks. Yes, she got a lot of damage in. You see her with that rocket barrage at the ready, but it just wasn't enough to really keep Quad E at bay while the tanks went down.
Yeah, we see a lot of damage still coming through from that Pharaoh. Manages to get a pick onto Dragon Wolf here, and a huge anti-nade means that Ravester's also going to go down. So Rainbow Renegades can get a bit aggressive here. They do get some more picks, and unfortunately, Claudie, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board here and regroup.
A really good fight there from Rainbow Renegades. No ults invested. Exactly what you want to be seeing, kind of stemming that momentum going into the second point. It's always a danger that a team capping first point kind of comes in with that momentum, but with that anti-nade, just kind of stopping that completely and making it a lot easier for the hold.
Yeah, and we see here Quaddy just squaring up, getting ready to go through the side again. The Hoghook doesn't connect. The The Reaper here is going to get in the point. The Hog is hacked. The Death Blossom comes through. The Barrage, Nano Barrage comes through, but the Diva Defense Matrix from Tocs are coming in clutch, blocking a lot of the damage. We do see here Fluffy popping the Primal Rage, and Cubic here with the whole Hog just trying to force Quaddy off the point, but it's not going to quite be enough. Bubbles there in the sky as the Mercy trying to get some damage out, keep their team alive. Alakikochi on the Pharah, now back in here. The trickle from Rainbow Renegades is going to be able to retake the point, capping off with that EMP. They did have to commit a lot of ults there.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates. I mean, it's pretty much every single ult they had in the bank committed. Obviously, it's all switching over to the Wrecking Ball. But something we always speak about in these 2CB maps, those fights need to be clean as your attackers. You need to be making sure that no one really goes down. You're cleaning up as fast as you possibly can. But we saw a couple players go down, and then Alex on that Roadhog stalling out and getting that pick onto Damien ready is going to just stagger out even more time.
Yeah. So as fast as the first push was, it looks like Quaddy here are going to be using quite a bit of time to just reconsolidate. We are seeing the Pharah Mercy on the side of Rainbow Renegades getting in some good poke damage here, just building up that barrage, which is now ready. So they're going to be able to use that on this coming fight. And Wallace, they're getting another pick on Dragon Wolf, and Tocs about to lose his mech here as well. So it looks like Quaddy are not going to be able to get through to that side tunnel yet again, getting stopped thanks to the Pharah and the huge picks here from Cubic. Fluffy trying to pull back here, but he unfortunately is just getting surrounded from all sides, not going to make it. So yeah, Quaddy getting stalled even more here. And again, another pick. Cubic actually doing so much work on that Roadhog.
Getting these picks time and time again, and also Wallace with these nades, as soon as they come through that choke point, always landing them. You're looking at Tocs now, how much damage can he do? Obviously, he has to eat the fire damage, or potentially the Roadhog hooks if they do connect, as well as this anti-nades is proving very difficult for him so far.
We see the bomb coming through from Tocs, EMP as well. Unfortunately, they only get Cubic with that. Cubic in that corner there, the barrage coming through, Diva blocking that, but unfortunately it still does get Elven. Bubbles managing to take out the Moira, and Quaddy here not looking too good. They're already a few down. They're still trying though, instead of regrouping. The clock is ticking down. We do see Nano go to Alakikochi on the Pharah, who's just going to use that extra damage to mop up. But yeah, Quaddy maybe just trying to force out some ults there.
Yeah, and it didn't end up working all too well. Yes, they forced out a lot of ults, but they themselves are switching their concepts ever so slightly. The EMP bomb, such a renowned combo for breaking open these kind of points. Getting nothing in the end. Your bomb came a bit too early, maybe for the EMP to be set up. Only hitting Cubic meant that, yes, while he went down, it allowed, I like your cut G on that Pharah to get infinite amount of value, slowing down that push.
Yeah, and we see the beat drop here coming on the side of Quaddy. They're going to try and use that extra health to push through, but it looks like the Bongo here is evening out the odds. The whole Hog does come out as well from Cubic. The extra damage really working in the favor here of Rainbow Renegades, but we do see the Coalescence come through. The huge EMP, 5-man EMP here on the side of Rainbow Renegades. They're going to use that momentum to just try and hold Quaddy off, but Quaddy are sticking to their guns here. They're now on the point. Tocs does lose his mech. The Pharah is doing so much damage though. It looks like they are slowly but surely going to get picked off here. Damien does manage to pick off Zol, but unfortunately goes down to the Pharah, the Sombra here, sorry. And there's only 40 seconds left for Quaddy. They haven't got a tick yet. They need to get on this point.
Clutch EMP there coming out from Drosa, not only hitting the Moira but the Reaper as well, preventing him from having that Wraith surviving long enough to get that Death Blossom out means that this fight is going into potentially overtime territory.
Yeah, Quaddy now looking for this push. Could be their last. They do have quite a few ults on their side, but Damien unfortunately goes down, so they're not going to be able to use the Deadeye. The Lucio does get hacked. EMP comes up. Lucio, Ravester trying to survive, well hacked. He's on a sliver of health here. Whole Hog comes out, just bullying the Diva and the Lucio here. Quaddy are on point with the Diva and the Reaper, and they're trying desperately. Bongo does come out. Death Blossom to counter the Bongo here. Barrage is going to clean things up here. The High Noon comes out, but unfortunately it doesn't get through. And it looks like Rainbow Renegades are going to hold this comfortably.
Great, you know, choke denial there coming out of Rainbow Renegades. Every time that we saw Quad E trying to push to a choke point, someone was dying. Yes, maybe they lost a member of their own as that was happening, but because this is 2CP, trades always are going to favor the defending team, and they're playing, you know, this kind of map to their advantage, making sure that we can play this more like spammy kind of setup, forcing them to play in towards us, and always, you know, putting a lot of pressure on Damien and Elven there, especially not allowing them to get in for free. You know, a lot of time when we saw a Reaper having to use Fire Fade before they even got close to point, meant that then he's kind of forced to use that Death Blossom against an Orisa who has a bongo. You know, this is an Orisa healed up by an Ana, most likely not going to die in a situation. Yes, he ends up killing the bongo, but the Orisa just stands there looking at him and kills him.
Yeah, there's some phenomenal plays there as well. Cubic being super oppressive, again showing why Temple of Anubis, the second point, can be so oppressive to attack, because it's just really nice for those defenders to get back onto the point real quick and also get picks on those chokes as the attacking teams are coming through. You can't afford to lose a single player, and unfortunately losing somebody like your healer or your tank in those situations is absolutely devastating to your attack. But let's see now, the roles are reversed. Quad E gonna be defending now as Rainbow Renegades come through to attack.
Yeah, we're going to see that Echo coming out versus that Ash Junket that I mentioned before. Very potent on this point, and against the Bull Hog isn't going to have as much of an easier time because there's not as much like to isolate in this team.
Yeah, we do see a Sip going through onto Fluffy here. He's just going to take a little nap. Zoldo's waking him up though on the Wrecking Ball, and unfortunately Quad E have already lost the high ground. The Orisa is down. You see Elven on that high ground with the Mercy Pocket, trying to get out some damage and get some kills, but unfortunately she's not getting any value here. The Echo is absolutely just destroying their team at this stage, getting both Fluffy and Damien. Unfortunately the Ash on the high ground there, just competing with that Mercy, is gonna go down. Bubbles there really popping off with the Mercy Blaster, as it looks like Rainbow Renegades are gonna take this first point fairly quick. They just need to get more than one tick on the second point. They've got 6 minutes on the clock to do it, as they're already looking to push here. Quad E really looking to be on the back foot. Bubbles getting super aggressive, maybe a bit too cocky there, gets taken out by Elven.
Yeah, and that's going to be, you know, kind of for the stabilization for Quad E here. You're a little bit scared, but with that Mercy going down means that the push isn't going to be as strong, and they kind of stalled them out a little bit now, force them back even into the choke points, giving it time for that Junkrat and that Ash to get a bit more value.
Yeah, we are seeing Rainbow Renegades here just trying to poke some damage in, just break those barriers. We do see Bubbles pop the ult here on the Mercy. Unfortunately, the Echo goes down, so she can't use her ult. I don't know if we're going to try and see a res here from Bubbles, perhaps, but the Bongo comes out from the side of Quad E. They're going to use that extra damage to try and just push up, take some more space. Bubbles does try to go for the res, but unfortunately gets taken out, so it's back to the drawing board here for Rainbow Renegades.
And it's just like in a situation we're feeling like maybe it's more or less of the same what we saw from, you know, Rainbow Renegades on their defense, you know, coming from Quad E, holding these choke points really well, not really allowing them to get through for free, making sure that they're guaranteed to get a pick before anything really happens, stalling these points out very well.
Yeah, and we have 4 ults, nearly 5 on the side of Quad E, so they're going to be ready for whatever comes their way. Only 3, 4, well, nearly 5, but unfortunately they're losing quite a few members here. Dragon Wolf getting off a good res onto the Junkrat here, so Rainbow Renegades are going to have to full back.
Again, they win that fight without using any ultimates. Orisa, the only one without hers, but she used it in the fight prior. So, you know, fighting, you know, 5 ults into 5 ults, it's not really likely a fight you're going to win. So maybe we're going to see another dry fight coming out of Rainbow Renegades here, trying to force out as many ults as possible with that Riptire, that Bob, but also in saying that there is the EMP, you know, notorious for cancelling out as well as ult disadvantage. We
do see the ult come out here from the Echo. The Riptire comes out, gets the Mercy. Ults coming in here from both teams. The whole Hog just trying to push them in the back, but gets slept. Bob on the point, trying to just shred the enemy team. Nana Boost coming out there quite late onto the Echo. Echo pushing now onto the point, gets hooked, taken out. So unfortunately, all those ults for nothing. But it looks like both teams here having to use everything they had, really.
Yeah, and ideally, if you're on the side of Rainbow Renegades, you probably don't invest as much. Maybe save a couple of those ultimates. So going into this next fight, you're not as done. You're still even in this fight. Your Tox with that bongos means that by the time you get your own 6 ultimates on the board, very likely the enemy team is going to have the same.
Yeah, we do see Bubbles here, the only one with the ult on the side of Rainbow Renegades. Unfortunately, Zol and Alakikachi both getting picked up. Fluffy now doing on the Roadhog what Cubic was last round, and Damien just mopping up there with the Hanzo. He is going to be building up that ult at 77%. He's almost there. They do have the Bongo as well.
It's now almost 3.5 minutes off the board, and another pick onto Wallace makes that to put it closer to 2 minutes left on the clock. The res does come up, but it means that they're not going to have those in this fight. And on TCP, it's something you really want to have. You're bringing back that person, maybe turning that fight into your favor.
Yeah, we are seeing another push here to the middle choke from the side of Rainbow Renegades. Unfortunately, Cubic there just getting caught out. He gets anti-nated, but he manages to stay alive. The nano boost goes on to Fluffy here. He gets pulled out though by Cubic, does manage to take Cubic out. So that's unfortunately a massive loss here for Rainbow Renegades. Maybe trying to force something out of the side of Quaddy, but not quite getting there.
I mean, they're also going to be coming online pretty early here for Quad E. Got the Dragons, the Bob, the Valkyrie, as well as Bongo's still there. Bongo hasn't been used for one. They haven't needed it. Whole Hog coming out as well. So potentially we're looking at, with the way the ultimates are looking, that if this is going to be a cap, it's going to be towards the end.
Yeah, it does seem that they are going to have to force the ult cut here as they look to push again. Poking through that middle choke there, it looks like they're going to try and go around the side here. The Hanzo arrow did reveal Bubbles, so Quaddy should know what's coming. The Dragons do come out. That's huge. Manages to get the Orisa and the Echo, so that is an ult forced out. But unfortunately, it does mean even more time that Rainbow Renegades are going to have to spend reconsolidating.
And it's just the exact same as what we've been seeing on this 2CP map. Both teams really struggling to get through these choke points here, not really knowing exactly how they want to approach. I mean, these Hunter Sonic arrows have been clutch a lot of the time, not really allowing Rainbow Renegades to get into this point free.
Bongos do come out from Tox, and again, a huge hook onto Cubic here, just not allowing them to push. Big sleep onto the Sombra as well, meaning she can't get anything off. She was probably looking for that EMP in order to allow her team to push, but just not happening for them. There's only 30 seconds left in this round, so whatever Rainbow Renegades are going to do, they better do it fast.
This EMP is going to be crucial, and we're going to look to see them probably stall off this fight with the EMP if they can get a 6-man, but that hook onto Damien is really huge.
Cubic getting that massive hook onto Damien. That's going to allow their team to push forward. We do see the Echo come out, grab that Orisa. She's going to look to try and get a Bongo. We see the Bongos come out, and that's a win for Rainbow Renegades.
Quite an anticlimactic ending at the end there. We've seen such a strong hold coming out of Quad E, but then it fell apart. Damien getting picked off early, and it just seemed like they kind of relaxed a little bit, allowed them to get to that choke point after that pick. Yes, I understand you don't have the hunter, you don't have the damage, but you can't allow this team to walk onto point for free. And we didn't even see that EMP really come out there. That was basically just a whole hog and the duplicate that just forced them off point and basically forced the issue.
Yeah, some really insane plays here. Both Roadhogs really putting in work, but Cubic having the final say this game, getting that huge pick onto that Hanzo and just allowing to push his team to push onto the point and get those split angles set up and just really take the fight to Quaddy. So unfortunately, Quaddy do take the L here. Rainbow Renegades winning comfortably 3-1. It was quite a competitive match. I think the score doesn't quite reflect exactly how close it was. But yeah, who would you say is your MVP for this game, Terran?
A lot of candidates from this year from both teams. I think as the series was going along, I was kind of thinking about it based on who wins. But in the end, I think out of all these players, you've got to give it to Cubic. just the amount of clutch plays that he comes out with, the amount of store potential that he's just given this team that throughout the series was impeccable. Yes, he wasn't really afforded as much value on some of these maps, but that wasn't anything against him. That was credit to Quad E for preventing him from getting that value, but he was still able to get so much value despite how much attention they were putting onto him, and then there's so much space for these players like I Like Your Cut G to get that value.
Yeah, 100%. I have to agree wholeheartedly. So with that all said, let's take a look at the brackets as they stand. So as we see here, moving on to the grand finals will be Rainbow Renegades, Elvens, Eccentric, Electric Eels. Now, after that loss, are going to move to the lower bracket finals, where they'll play against H. The winner of that will go on to the grand final. So Elvens, Eccentric, Electric Eels still have an opportunity to make it back and get revenge against Rainbow Renegades, potentially to completely upset the grand finals, but we'll have to see in that lower bracket finals. How do you think it's going to play out?
It's going to be tough for Quad E. These are two teams that are left that they've now lost. They in the group stages they lost to H in their first game of the day. Yes, that was without Tocs. That's quite a key member losing out there. So we have to wait and see how big of an effect they'll make, especially since it's been a while since the tournament. That was the first game both teams played. A lot has changed since then. But that's their first step that they need to overcome, and then going into that grand finals, potentially playing so many different series in a row. It'll be 3 series in a row if they do win that. It's going to be a tough one, and playing against Rainbow Renegades, as we've seen, drains a lot from them.
Yeah, 100%. So still some really intense matches to come up, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I have been Paragon, Swing, whatever you want to call me, here with TerranLord, Lord of Terrans, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, this is Pride Cup 2021. Stay tuned for some more action coming up later today.